let's get into business already, Mimi. You're in politics. Let's get the formalities out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get into very specifically how things ended for you because there's a lot. I mean, I
Yep.
gotta start with your words as you leave the house, where you're saying, Corey, America, Bowie Jane, you're in an alliance. Unfortunately for us, the camera cut away when you're saying they're going after you, you, and you, and they're keeping you in to try to take all of them out. So, for our sakes, I'd love to know who are the yous that you were referring to in that speech?
I was referring to Jag, Matt, and Blue. And to be honest with you, I may or may not have been telling the truth. Now, Corey didn't say this to me exactly, but I know that Corey does a lot of judging. He does a lot of talking, a lot of manipulating. So I decided to take a page out of the book of Corey Werdenberger and, use a bit of his game against him. And let's see how it plays out.
So then who was that last person, the one that you were saying was like the weapon that that unholy trinity was going to use against them?
Mama Fee. Mama
Uh,
Fee was the weapon that he was planning to use against them. Yep, yep. And I say
wow.
this because I know that when Corey was going in and having these conversations about flipping the vote, he was using the fact that Blue had been advocating to keep me to tell Mama Fee, well, we were all on board with getting Mimi out and keeping you in the house. And the only person who was really against it was Blue. So he wanted to build some type of distrust there. And I just thought I'd let Mama Fee know.
What made you feel like Corey and America were really the ones, responsible for this? Obviously, you snubbed them with the hug. We just talked about what you said to them. You talked about them with Julie outside of the house. What made you believe that these two were at the forefront of your eviction today?
Well, I knew that the both of them had been going around and having plenty of conversations about me. America had always been telling everyone, Mimi doesn't talk game with me. Mimi doesn't talk game with me. And I'm always like, girl, what do you want me to say? Anytime someone talks to you, you go and tell it to the entire house. Why do you think that I would give you any ammunition to use against me? And Corey was the same way. He was always poking and prodding, always watching me obsessively, asking me questions about who I was talking to and what those conversations were like. So, as much as both of them would have liked for me to believe that they trusted me, I knew that they didn't. And I knew that they were the two who ran upstairs to the HOH and tried to convince everyone to flip the vote. And unfortunately for me, it worked.
Now, let me reveal something to you. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Corey really was in it to win it with you for the majority of the season. He really wanted to work with you until that knockout competition in the double eviction. When you had sort of picked a side there, those were some of the first signs to him. Okay, maybe Mimi doesn't necessarily want to work with me, but for what it's worth, it did seem for the majority of the game, he did have intentions of working with you and trusting you. What's your reaction to that?
I mean, I'm not really surprised, to be honest with you. Leading up to that, I felt that Corey wanted to trust me, but I just didn't really feel like we were there. And for me, I really wanted to start exploring different avenues. Blue and I had started having conversations around this time. I picked her twice, I believe, in BB Odd Couples. And so I just wanted to start extending an olive branch so that we can really build on that relationship. But I do know that Corey started to pick up on that, which is probably why that led to my demise, because I know that him and Blue had some type of rift. And so it probably didn't sit that well with him.
When you get outside the house and Julie asks you, there are two people who are related, your first guess is Cameron and America. I am very intrigued as to what the logic was behind that guess.
I just thought they had a very interesting relationship, one that I couldn't fully understand. Sometimes it made sense, and at other times it just seemed odd to me. So I figured maybe there was something more there that neither, any of us in the house really understood. So this was my first guess.
Well, now that you found out the truth about Jared and Suri, when you look back in particular about like the brown sugar babes of it all, does that make you look back on it differently?
It does. I am literally still shook from the idea that Jared is Cerie's son. And so many things just start to make sense to me. Just anytime he went HOH, she spent so much time up there. I remember specifically going to knock on the door just to go in and hang out. And she was in there. He was like, oh, come back, Mimi. And I was like, why. I didn't really understand it, but I didn't want to push too much. And then, he moved out of the scary room and into the comic room. And during the zombie resurrection, she was coaching him and giving him advice. And, really, really upset, and had continued to talk about his eviction from the house and how Mama Fee and I kind of played into that. So, it makes sense now.
I do want to talk about the Brown Sugar Babes a bit more because from our perspective, it seemed like you were like loyal to the soil from the beginning, perhaps to your detriment, where it felt like for a while you weren't necessarily reaching out and making other big alliances, other connections. What's your reaction to that? Now, looking back, how do you feel about your loyalty to that group of people first and foremost?
I really was very loyal to Brown Sugar Babes. I believed in it 100%. And I told them all the time, I'm like, guys, you guys are the only people that I actually trust in this house. So when it came down to the week that Izzy and Mama Fee were on the block, and I was hearing that Jared and Sari have been going around and trying to mastermind this plan, I guess, to get Mama Fee out and campaigning against her and wanted to leave me out of it because I was so close to her. I was just like, I will never trust again. I believed in you guys. So, definitely was to my detriment. I should have done more outreach, but I really, really did believe in Brown Sugar Babes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is new information, but like I can confirm to you that Jared did tell Corey about Brown Sugar Babes. And so I'm intrigued from your perspective. Like, when you find this information out, a different type of person I think would be like, to your point, F y'all, I'm done. I'm not working with you anymore. What was it that had you drawn back to them inevitably, even when you had this little bug in your ear saying, like, all your information has been outed at this point?
At that point, they were the ones who I'd been working with since the very beginning of the game, the ones who I've been talking strategy with, the ones who kind of knew where I stood in the house and who I felt most and, not comfortable with at all. And so it just felt very natural to gravitate back toward that space. And I really honestly did not believe that Jared had told Corey about Brown Sugar Babes. I do believe that he sits around in rooms and listens to conversations. That big blow up that happened between Sari and Mama Fee in the scary room. Mama Fee was saying a whole lot. She kept saying Brown Sugar Babe. She kept saying that I really trusted us for, and that you two were a part of my demise and trying to sabotage me. So I really did assume that he had just overheard it and started to run with it.
So I know that obviously, including in your speech, you had talked up America and Corey as the ones responsible for your eviction. I can reveal to you that there were two other people that played a very large part. Jag and Matt were really some of the instigators behind this flip for a couple of reasons. One that you named last night being that you were big competitor, lost that veto by 30 seconds. And they also felt with this big Felicia blowup that occurred over the past week that they felt it would be an opportunity for the two sides to sort of continue to square off while they were in the background. What's your reaction to that?
I mean, I'm not surprised by that, right? Like, Matt is a low key player as well. He has his side with Jag and Blue and maybe even Cam to that extent. But for the most part, he doesn't really get involved from what I know in the strategy. So I'm sure that, Jag was leading this campaign. I also know that he probably heard from Corey that I was the one that tried to flip the vote on him the week that he was on the block against Red. So, I was having a lot of conversations with him and really trying to convince him to stay on my side and vote to evict Mama Fee. But I had assumed that he'd heard about my attempt to flip the vote his week. So, I knew it was a shot in the dark, but worth a try.
Let's finish with a game here. I'm going to give you the name of someone left in the house. I want you to give me the first word or words that come to mind, immediate word association. Let's start with America.
Let's go with leaky,
Blue.
snaky,
Bowie Jane.
aloof,
Cameron.
power player,
Sari.
mastermind,
Corey.
nerd,
Felicia.
Mama Fee,
Jag.
goofy,
And Matt.
winner.
Wow. All right. I'll give you one more reveal actually while we're heading out here. Miss Aloof, Bowie Jane is the new HOH, by the way.
I heard DJ BJ, you go girl. I'm not mad at it.